What is up? Good evening, everybody. How are you all doing tonight, peeps, on a Tuesday night? I remember to take my garbage out tonight now that I said that out loud. So I'm glad that I did it live tonight. So I remember my garbage. But I think I have a really good show for you guys tonight. What's up, David? How are you? Honeybee, I think you shared another Billy the Kid. I think Jinx shared it in my Discord. I will have to check that out. What is up, Kathy? Kathy, we'll have to talk because I think you should make a special announcement if you guys didn't do it already. I haven't been around a whole lot the last couple of days. I've had work stuff and went to the Jason Aldean bar in Pittsburgh on the North Shore. And I can't even say that I know one song by that guy, but a lot of good gluten-free food, really cool place. Well, thank you, Honeybee. Tonight's a little different. Well, you guys, we'll talk about it. Rescue all the dogs. How are you? Hey, Jill, how are you doing? We had some heat here today, more than one way. 90 degrees. We had a heck of a fire today. I'll share a couple of pictures. I wasn't working. Me and the PAC committee and the union guys were actually at lunch meeting with a woman who's running for state senate. What is up, Mustang? Hi, Jinx. Jinx always here. There's Honeybee's channel, too. She does really, really cool stuff. She's done some interactions with our man, Grismatically Clever, and really cool Wild West stuff. Billy the Kid. We do some Deadwood stuff, Honeybee, if you ever get into it. Evening, Dr. Poon. Lisa, how are you? Hey, Bossy, how are you doing? Good to see you. Bossy of the same name that was yelled at by Ron Logan's son with me and Frosty. So tonight, I never really kind of did a show. I never really did a show like this on my own. The first show I did with Ruckus, Ruckus reached out to me talking about Flora. He's seen something I did, and just asked me to come on his show. And Ruckus did that with a lot of people, and that's awesome that he does that. You know, I've tried that with a couple people, and no one's come on yet. They've been controversial figures in the Delphi case, but nobody's wanted to come on. One guy at least answered me and said no. The other ones just never got back to me. But anyway, I almost forget what I was saying there. But we had that like playing in the background, and there was a couple of things that he pointed out. So with the permission of Indie Archive, the great Indie Archive, I'm sure as soon as I said that, Jinx will be sharing their channel link, but tremendous content of all sorts. I mean, he goes from Nicki Minaj concerts to Elton John, police funerals, drone stuff over to Delphi, walks, all that. He just tremendous. He did a live when we were out there. It was kind of like someone, I don't know if it was Greeno or Marv was with us. I don't know if she had it up on hers, but his drone footage of us walking and flying over at the same time. But we're going to use his video. He is the best one. I have his permission. And subscribe to his channel. He has a pretty big channel. He got it rolling. So good guy, friend. Someone I'm proud to call my friend. Anyway, I saw quite a few things in this video. Now, I watched it since I posted this yesterday. I probably watched it 4 more times. And one of the things I was missing was the sound of it. And I have something for you that's crazy that no one heard this yet. And I'm not no great hearing guy. I don't even know if that's a thing, but my hearing's probably better than my eyesight. But you actually hear who I think is a fireman on the porch say, "God damn it, Drew," as they pull them out. And firemen, we get tunnel vision sometimes. So I'm so focused on that front door and what's happening there. But I'll explain this to you. We'll go through this video. We'll play this video. I'll tell you what's happening, what they're doing, why they're doing it. And you have to remember something too. On a fire ground, the thing that we get pounded into our head, and this hasn't changed probably since I think this came about, they started calling freelancing maybe in the 90s. I'm not exactly sure, but it's been pounded into our head. The rookies hear it too. Freelancing gets you killed. What's freelancing? Fireman going kind of John Wayne, kind of going rogue. Hey, he goes over here and does something that he thinks needs done, but doesn't tell anyone, doesn't follow the proper procedure. Then he's missing and no one knows where he is or anything like that. So ultimately at a fire, it falls back on the command of the fire, the incident commander, the chief. In our case, it's a deputy chief or a captain. But in this case, it's Randall, who is the fire chief, Adam. So we don't have the comms from firefighter to firefighter, which would help me a lot, to see, is he calling for that window to be broken? Is he telling the guys to wait for, what's going on? But one thing that you don't see is him doing a 360, at least before we go. Maybe he did when we got there. But one of the things the incident commander does is he does a 360 around the house. Unless the house is on a hillside or against a mountain or something, you can't get back there. But the reason you do that is you're looking for anything blatantly obvious that you don't want to miss. Is there a power line back here? Someone hanging out of a window? And while you do that, you get a good size up. You get to see the structure of the house. Is it staying together? Yada, yada, yada. And you make that report. He could have done that before, but you don't see it in the video. But anyways, what I'm thinking I'm going to do is probably go about 5-minute spurts in this video because I don't want to miss you guys' comments, because a lot of times I come back to comments and I'm sure they're really good comments and I'm like, oh, what is this about? Because I'm so far behind. So I think about every 5 minutes, and it's about a just under 20-minute video, excuse me. And I think that's the best way to do it. So let me get to your comments here, and then I will get right into the video itself. And again, this is I'm not trying to critique anyone or anything like that. What I want to do is I want to explain this to you guys. Why our firefighters do certain things, and it's Indiana. And is it different? Sure, it's different. It's a rural fire department. I'm in a city fire department, albeit a slow or a smaller city. Ron Logan, how are you? But the tactics, the hand signals, everything's kind of what's up the world is mine. Everything's kind of the same. That's kind of universal. Actually, I found out that's kind of almost universal, like worldwide. So if we would have firefighters help us and say they were from, I don't know, pick a country, Somalia, and they come over here and we could do this and we can do this, and people, they would know what it means. So Pam Frenchman, how are you? CJK, how are you? Hope you're doing good. What is up, Junior? All right. I think I said hi to everyone that's commented here. Anyone watching and not comment, hello to you too. So the first thing I'm going to show you here, let me get to my Gmail. First thing I'm going to show you real quick before I get into the video is the CAD report. CAD is computer assisted dispatch. We have these in our fire truck. I think just about everyone has these now. The police had them before we did a couple years, but I'm totally okay with that. So this is kind of gives you a narrative. Again, if anybody wants any information that I have, Kevlar148hotmail.com. Let's see. That's the run sheet. I must have set myself the run sheet instead of the CAD. I don't think I did. I think I sent the right thing. Hold on a second. Page is 1 of 10. Whoops. Sorry, guys. As soon as I get this up, I'll share it. Get this going the right way. Uh-oh. You don't want to work. This is the handwritten run sheet. We've went over this before. The CAD I was going to show you was, it's not super important to what I'm going to do today, but I was just going to try to explain that to you guys so you're able to get how you read it. And I don't know why I cannot get that to show up the correct way here. But I apologize for that. But again, wasn't the end of the world. But I could say that to anyone. So what that has is it's basically, it'll have like coded things that look kind of coded, but they'll have a time code next to it. That's when this happened, this happened, and this happened. So we're going to get into the dash cam now. And again, we're going to watch about 5 minutes of it, and we'll stop and I'll go back and see what questions and things like that we have. So again, this is the great Indy Archives. I have permission to use it. If you have anything that you'd like to use, ask them, as long as you're being respectful for it and you're, kind of respecting family's wishes. I think that he'll probably shine his light favorably on you, but ultimately it's his content and it's fantastic content. So he has a nice little intro here. We're going to skip over that, but I do encourage you all to go watch this after this. And after what I tell you about it and show you some things, and I'm not no Billy Goldfeather expert firefighter or anything in that regard, but I've done it for over 22 years. So there's certain things that are just gimmies that I could say, this is this, this is that. I wouldn't go, watch a brain surgeon video and try to say, hey, you forgot to do this or that, because I wouldn't know what I was looking at. So some of the stuff that we look at is like part of daily life, like at your job, whatever your job is, whatever you do. Cops see things differently. If you work stocking shelves in a supermarket, if you work in a tax office, whatever you work, there's things that you could look at immediately, like, oh, this form goes here. And I would be like, I have no clue. But so that's what I'm just trying to give to you guys here. And you know how I always feel, the more people that watch get their eyes in front of something, the better. I always feel that way. And you don't have to be a firefighter to understand some of these things. Let me just say it that way. So let's get this big here for you. Make sure this is working out. And we're going to go ahead and play this pretty much from this point. So Indy does a great job putting the words up here. Again, I encourage you. I'll share this after I'm done here. But I encourage you to go watch this for yourself. And he has a nice beginning to it. And it's just a raw video. This is from Deputy Drew Yoder's dash cam. Yoder was the guy, if anybody's new to this, that was airlifted out. Was actually in a coma for a couple of days, but you'll be able to see him quite clearly here. But a couple of things that I never came about before, and I think they're interesting to show you. So let's get on with the video here. We have audio also. Yoder receives the call. He's on his way to the call. Obviously, all that's correct from Mindy.
Right.
Remember the pit. This is the house. Now, Kathy's in the chat. Correct me if I'm wrong. That was a card.
Where is it? You're upstairs? County. Send Cutler Fire as well. Get Cutler Fire in there as well.
So right there, Drew Yoder's also fired. He immediately calls for the race. He realizes it's a big fire. Yoder and Officer Josh Dissinger are trying to enter the home pavilion closing.
Guys, the medic, you well.
You
good? Josh, you good? I'm good. You good? I'll put cool, man. I'll put cool.
I can't definitively tell you whose car that is pulling out either. I think it's the neighbor driving their car across the street, but I can't. They're eating. Galen walking in front there. She has a big shirt on. Where's Ron? Yes, they both out of the house. Unfortunately, I see mothers with kids in the house, and that's how they all act to a T. That goes across poverty line, race, nationality. At the end of the day, mom is all.
Guys, 10 pounds, kicks it up soon, please. We still got 4 kids inside. We can't get inside.
So right there, it sounds to me like Yoder says 4 kids. He knows there's 4. They get back in his police car and drive approximately 25 seconds to the Delphi Fire Department. He leaves the scene to go there roughly about 3:11 in the video. He's pulling up his Delphi fire station. The door's open, okay? That's not normal unless someone's in it.
Hey, please roll, dude. There's people inside.
That's Yoder telling the guy, hey, we need to roll. There's people inside.
I know, dude. I don't do anything like that, dude. I know.
This guy said, I only work on a computer. Today, you do more than fucking computer. You can open the hydrant, you can hold ladders. But he knew there was a call, so he opened the door for his guys that are coming in from home. Remember, it's a volunteer station.
My car's out here. We need to roll those.
He's telling them guys we need to roll. What he does is he comes back with an SCBA map. There's a map. So I think he ends up taking his breathing apparatus off of the rig when it appears. Now, what you're going to see here is 2 things. First, you're going to see a police car parked in an empty lot. That is an extra car. That's where the car is at. If that's considered a police department, but nobody's in that car. This is the first volunteer coming in his personal vehicle. You can tell because they have blue lights. They don't have the police allowed to have red lights, at least in Pennsylvania, but they'll have blue lights. And people know, hey, we're trying to get to the fire station. So that truck is going to, that guy and that truck's going to grab the engine and bring it here. Now, this is where we have
they're coming. They're right here, dude.
Page right
they're
here.
Right here. They're coming.
And I'm going to stop this right now. And I'm going to go back and see if we have any questions or any comments that were made, because now we're starting to get into the crux of the video. You're going to see the beginning of the fire attack. I don't know if we'll be able to hear it or not, but I'll try to get you to hear it. You'll be able to hear. I could tell when they set the maxi brake for the truck, the air brake. At that point, you set the air brake, you put the trunk in the pump, and depending on, if you have someone flaking the line out, you should have water in that nozzle within 45 seconds. You're pulling tank to pump, you're pulling the line, you're going to throttle it up. I do a quick calculation in your head. The nozzle needs 70 PSI at the tip or 75 PSI at the tip. I have 3 sections of hose. They're going to have to go up a floor. So these are all things that you kind of do. And then you turn it on and you kind of figure it out. Your guys will let you know, hey, I need more water. Hey, back that off. You're beating me up. But let's go to the questions here. And again, I'm going to pop back in about every 5 minutes. But that's kind of just the intro to it. We're really going to get into the meat and potatoes of this. And I'll be able to tell you what they did. It'd be easier if I had the comms between the firemen so I could show it to you. But I could tell you what they're thinking. And for the most part, and what goes on in this fire attack. And you might be surprised because once it gets up and running, I'll tell you, it's flawed in the beginning, in my opinion. And that goes back to command. The guys are just doing what the boss tells you to do. And you have to follow that. Unless you're going to if they ever tell you to put a ladder on a power line or something, you don't do that. Okay. Let's see if we have any good. What's up, Miranda? Yeah, they both entered the house. The world is mine. That was Yoder and Dissinger. Dissinger was actually there. I don't know how much longer. Probably less than a minute. But he was, from my understanding, he was there first. Yeah, Miranda. So that guy in the station was telling Yoder, who was like, dude, what the fuck? Let's get going, that he works on computers. So the call will come into the station. So he was in the station and he heard it. So he opened the door up because they're not going to leave their door open overnight, even in a town like Flora, where you probably don't have to, probably can leave your car doors unlocked. You know, like I said before, it's a beautiful place. But I don't think that he does that. But no, fuck your computers. Get in my car. You can help me do something. You know, I could tell you how to turn a hydrant on in about 10 seconds once I hook up, whatever the case may be. I need bodies up here. You know, you could throw a ladder. You could do something like that. That guy has to live with that. I might be real critical of that, but Junior, no. And I've seen people act that way. Dads will fight you to go back in, and it breaks your heart to hold them back. But you know, if they go back in, that they're going to die. We don't know if their kids are gone yet or not, but we know that if they go back in, they're not coming back out. And it's heartbreaking. It's absolutely heartbreaking. But, you know, there's people that have accused Galen of this and that. And I think it's just it says a lot about the people that are doing that. Yeah, she tried to get up there, and she was brought back down by that point the heavy smoke. I don't know how bad the heat was, but remember this, roughly 75% of people that die in house fires die they don't get burnt or before they are burnt. So they die from the smoke and the superheated. The smoke could be also superheated too. So it isn't just the actual smoke. If you take one or two big puffs of that, it kind of like liquefies your lungs. And a lot of people, I don't think, think, oh, people get burnt. Maybe they do, but almost all the time it's post-mortem. I don't know about the guy in the red shorts. We've tried to identify people. Some people thought that was the upstairs neighbor, Mr. Gray, but we don't know that for sure. And keep in mind, too, for the people, and again, I think I said this wrong the other day, and I said that the relatives lived in that building. Relatives live next door, from my understanding. Kathy could correct me on that. But if you're going to do an insurance job, you don't have just the Rose family. You have the upstairs family, too. And they have a child who wasn't there at that time. So, for me, that's just tough to get down with. But we're really going to get into the crux of the video now. So let's go back to it. And here we go. So Drew Yoder has returned with what I can tell, so if you walk up here in this door area here,
yeah,
you're going to see red lights. That's the fire truck, the engine. You can look really close. I don't know if you can be able to see Yoder hacking up. Now, there sounds like there's glass breaking, but it's very hard to tell. I don't see any visible. The fire can vent itself. So it's possible these windows back here self-vented. You would expect to see some smoke come out of it. This one gets vented by the fire department. See the red light right there? This is the big one that gets vented. I'll show you that one later. The door is open, though. You can see the smoke coming out the door. See the smoke coming out the door? I can't tell if that window is self-vented or not. There's another one on the other side of the door. And basically, the front of that house in that area is basically Galen's bedroom. She's on the first floor. This was a house that was split into multiple units. There was false walls put in. And you had a second apartment upstairs, and it was kind of split like diagonally, if that makes sense, as opposed to one floor here, one floor there. So they had like an upstairs area to themselves. Again, so there's two tenants here. So if you're thinking, well, maybe this is an insurance gig, well, if they're experienced in it, they're not going to make that mistake and do it with two tenants, unless this was the first time for them. So right there, you see one officer going into the house, and I think Yoder gets a pack off the truck. Fire department's there. So this fireman on the porch, it's not uncommon to not put your mask on when you get on the porch, because you don't want to put that on, get out of the truck, fall down, because it's hard to see. You're probably hitting this and you're crawling in anyway. So I think he's putting his mask on. So the decision that was made here, and it ultimately goes back to command, we're going to put the fire on first. Yoder's in the line. Right over here, you see a white light. Let me just go back. You see a white light. That light is on your shoulder. So this tells me that Drew Yoder is on his back. Listen for him to start screaming. Look for that little white light. You see that light? He's on his back right there. That's one of our 90-day annualizers. Something happened. He sounds like he's being burnt by something. Not a smoke alarm's done its work. Not a smoke alarm. I don't know if there's something theft or something, maybe some household item. But as you can see, they're getting ready to pull him out. We just missed it. So I want you to listen here. We're going to go to the 8:35 mark. And this is something that I found out today. We're going to start a little bit before then. So at the 8:35 mark, you're going to hear, I think it's the fireman. I don't think it's Dissinger. God damn it, Drew. He's going to say that. God damn it, Drew. So in 11 seconds here, I want you to listen at the 8:35 mark. Did you hear it? God damn it, Drew. So I think that's the fireman pissed off already. When you read the letter, you know, it was clearly it was anti-Drew Yoder letter. The other thing too is initially was thought this guy crawled in and crawled right back out. Like, oh, what's he doing? He's being a sucker. This is where Yoder's actually extracted from. And I'm not going to post these things in real slow motion. You could go back and look. It's roughly, I have it at the 8:41 mark. So it's roughly around 8:40. You could go back and look, and you'll see two black uniforms, and you'll see the fireman kind of like half on his knees, kind of like they thrust him off the porch here. But if you watch real close, this is Drew Yoder being extracted. See the lights going up? Fireman goes in, comes out. Then go back and look at that. And then you hear the pass device, and it's outside. I originally thought it went off inside. So they take his air pack off outside, and that's his pass. Once it lays on the ground right here, yanking him. And if you look real close there, on his right-hand side is Dissinger. He's going to carry it over. You can go back. I have it at 8:49. I don't know if that's the right time code or not. And then if you go back to the 8:35, God damn it, Drew. So what they're doing now, they have decided that we need to put water on this fire. That's his air pack. They took his air pack and laid it on the ground. That happens a lot. If guys don't shut their air pack off, and you got to be more responsible, because if you hear that on the fire scene, that means the firefighter's down. Again, if you watch the 9/11 videos and you hear what sounds like car alarms, it isn't. It's the firefighter's pass devices going on. Hundreds of them. So at some point, someone gets this and closes it off. But what are they doing standing here? The decision was made to not go in until we put water on the fire. So they've decided from command, we're not searching. We are going to put water on the fire. You can see him preparing. He gets his knee down for the nozzle. And again, I think how good you can see this. At some point, he gives the sign, give me water. Here it comes. You could actually see the hose kick up. And if you listen close, and maybe it's just me to get here, you can hear the pump rev up. It's kind of hard to hear without the other noise. But right before this, and I want to show you this, right before this guy breaks out this window in the front before they put water on the fire. Within 2.5 seconds, the fire in the kitchen is on these steps here. So at this point, I don't know what the girl's condition was. I don't know if they were still alive or not, but after this point, there's been no probability for life. There's that break, and look, 2 seconds later. Guys, wind and air is the biggest threat to a fire, make a fire bigger. It's worse than gasoline, it's worse than diesel, worse than anything. It's off. The stairs are off. But surprisingly enough, as soon as they knock this down, I'm going to get back into the comments. But surprisingly enough, it doesn't take a lot of water to darken this down, right? Boom, it's on our heads now. You got to get that water flowing before we open that window. See, get his hand up. Yeah, I'm ready. So, yeah, it take a little while to get water. Yeah, but Watch. It's not a lot of water. You'll see it immediately darken down. Immediately darken down. They're flowing it into the house. They're not worried about this coming out the window right now. I mean, I'd give it a quick blast, but it's not going anywhere. You want to knock back there at the main secret. Right there. Right? We have I just screwed that up. We have like a total darkening down of the fire. Let me get back up to here, and then I'm going to pause it and go back. So again, we have the big giant. We'll watch this one more time. Right? Why do I keep doing that? Goodness gracious. We'll keep it right there. And instead of pressing my luck, we'll go back and answer some questions if anyone has any. You guys are talking your butts off. I appreciate it. Let's see what we got. What do you guys think about that? God damn it, Drew. Now, I've watched that video so many times, but I've watched it so many times with the sound off. Too many times. Yeah, my thing is that they don't, in my experience, they don't do that with people home not because that they care about the people necessarily. It's just going to bring away more police onto the case. If somebody gets killed, especially kids. I thought so too, Lisa. I'm just not 100% sure. I didn't know if Kathy was in there, Mr. Gray. I actually have an interview with him done with a fire investigator. And again, they lost a lot of stuff in there too. Miranda, I stopped it hopefully in time for when you ask. It's very hard to watch, but I mean, you got to, I mean, if you can't do it, you can't do it. That's understood. You could still certainly help the case. But for the people that are going to watch, I just want you to know what these guys are doing, because a lot of this is what we do. Now, the command makes a decision. Hey, we're not going in. Maybe it had something to do with the police coming out. But as you could see, Drew Yoder and Dissinger went in. The firemen were not going to – that guy wasn't going in. He didn't have his pack on. Maybe he was waiting for another person. There is a 2 and 2 rule, right, where you're supposed to have 2 in and 2 out. You're not supposed to go in by yourself. That's the rule, and you should follow the rules. That being said, in my own situation, the closest I ever came to buying a farm was at Highview Gardens. I think it was in 2005. An apartment on fire. I went down the hallway by myself because there was a family trapped in there. What are you going to do? I'm not going to wait there, And I was probably too cocky, and I thought my skills were too good, and I thought I knew the layout of the apartment really well, and I did, but I still got trapped. Luckily, there was a cop with a flashlight who helped people get across the hall. And I said, yo, keep yelling. Went to his boom, and I was out. But I can't explain that. But they definitely, a decision was made here by the command. We're not going in. We're going to put the fire out before we go into rescue mode. So a decision was made that it was too dangerous to the firefighters. Hey, Hybrid. Cool kids, I guess. Hey, Hiawatha is in here. I didn't see you. How are you? See if anyone has any questions. Yeah, there certainly is no. We can rule out Molotov cocktails. We can also rule out a meth fire. And one of the big reasons is because the windows are intact. This wasn't an explosion, and we don't have many meth fires in McKeesport. That's true enough, but we have a lot of schooling on it. We actually made a joke about it at fire school when I went. They would look at me and be like, well, this guy in Fayette County, which they call Fayette Nom, you need to notice. I don't know if you need to notice in McKeesport, but they drilled it on us. And then there's not a lot of fire left, actually, for the most part, if you get the full explosion intact. And the meth fire, one of the telltale signs is that, greenish smoke and things like that. You'll smell rotten eggs. And this fire, when they put the water on this fire, as soon as they take the water off, it flares back up. So, yeah, and certainly no Molotov cocktails. The guy that the people actually thought was doing shit, as I just showed you, he actually pulled Drew Yoder out, helped pull Drew Yoder out. So, yeah, those things are not true. Yeah, I mean, there's always something different you can do. But again, the guys and the gals on the ground are following what command tells them to do. You can't just go in there and do shit. You can't just run in there and say, no, I'm going to fucking save everyone. You just can't do that. So the decision was made from command that we're not going to go in. We're going to hit this, knock it down first. and then get the recovery done. And you know, we'll talk about that when we get to it. But yeah, the audio gives you some different context. So Yoder has some kind of mic something or other on, because I don't think that's coming all the way from the dash cam. Mother of all dragons, thank you so much for your support. I absolutely appreciate it, and you are fantastic. And the chat's fantastic as always. Oh, what were we just talking about there? Get back up here. Yeah, he's definitely mad at Drew. And listen, this might seem crazy, but when Yoder calls in other fire departments before their fire department does, them dudes are going to be pissed. Now, I'm not saying they're going to be pissed and stomp their feet and not go to work here, but they're going to be pissed off, especially in the volunteer world. But like, to be honest with you, like, if our cops called in another fire department before we got to the scene as union president, I'd be like, what the fuck, guys? You know what I mean? After the incident was over. But I think at that point he was pissed. Like, what are you doing in there, Yoder? You shouldn't have went in. Or more than likely, I shouldn't say more than likely, but there's a good chance that they probably told Yoder and Dissinger not to go in. Randall, the command, probably said, don't go do that, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, fuck it, we got to do what we got to do. There's kids up there. Now, remember, Drew Yoder knew Galen and the girls, and he rode past them. The girls were always in the front yard doing gymnastics, messing around, always waving to all the cars. You know what I mean? And he always waved to them. And I don't think there was any kind of relationship between him and Galen or anything like that other than they were friends. But I know that if we could ever facilitate a conversation with Drew Yoder and Galen, I think that would be mutually beneficial to both their souls. And initially, when I first started covering Flora, well, how's Yoder at this house? I didn't understand that. Yeah, because that doesn't happen here. But there's so much duplication of services and overlap because there's not enough people out there to cover the stuff. So at the end of the day, Drew Yoder, and I've said this before, you could say what you want about him, but in my opinion, as a 22-year veteran of the fire department, on this day, Drew Yoder had balls like two heads duct taped together. He went in without any PPE, proper PPE. The firefighter broke the window in the front. I don't know if he thought water was coming soon. I don't know if he was just doing it. I'm not sure. But if I was that guy in the nozzle, I'd have turned the nozzle like, you son of a bitch. You know, boom, whack him real quick, knock him down, and then go put the fire out. Because you're burning us here. But at that point, and I can't say for sure what was going upstairs with the girls, but at that point, I don't think there's any life that could live on that second floor. And remember, the other neighbors got out because their smoke detectors worked. They heard Galen first. I have that in an interview from the upstairs neighbor. They heard Galen screaming first, and then instantly their smoke detectors went off. And as far as we could tell, there's no working smoke detectors in this house, despite someone said they see one on the kitchen floor, but no one could produce it. So the investigators that I trust in this investigation, they say no to the smoke detectors. What is up, Brandon? So Jinx, agreed. A lot of people talked about the porch roof. Porch roof is a firefighter's best friend. It's like a forward command post. We could put tools on it. You could step out of that window. You don't have to go off a ladder into a window because that gets risky, tricky, more tricky coming out. You better have someone down there holding it and not some guy, you know, having a cigarette and kind of talking to someone else. I don't know. There's ladders on the engine, ground ladders on their engine. The decision wasn't made. I don't know if they had enough guys to do that or not. I'm not sure. But again, that's a command thing. The command will say, hey, you know, you have a little bit of leeway as a driver once you get the pump set. You know, if I would ever start throwing egress, we call them egress ladders. So I would lay them ideally behind where the firefighters are going before the fire. So if they have to back out, they're coming this way. And again, you're not breaking windows. The fire's in the back of the house. We want to attack from the unburnt side. That's what they did here. But as soon as you break that window, you're bringing that fire to you. If anything, I'm going to work into that fire, knock it down, and break windows as close to the fire, behind it, even above it, a floor. But we don't like to do above because we have balloon frame construction, so that could get into the things. But we're gonna horizontally ventilate that out of there and try and not bring it to us. And you go from that porch being to what we have here. So when I go back into the video, what I'm going to show you is firemen start going in. They stop doing the fire attack and they start going to rescue mode. So what they did was they went in, they hit the fire, they darkened it down real quick. They know that the fire isn't out, but then they go, okay, we need to get upstairs here to the second floor. So you go up the steps to the landing and into the bedroom at that point, and that's where they'll start to discover the girls. we'll get to that. Where are we at? About, yeah. So I'll show you that here. The first couple minutes, this will just play out. Let me make sure we don't have any. Yeah, there's a lot that needs explained, but remember, at the end of the day, this is ruled an arson, right? Whoever started this fire is absolutely responsible for this. We could critique firemen, we could say this, we could say that, and it's a lot of it's fair critique, and it's guys that we worked and watched it. And I'm sure if they'd watch our fires, they would say, "Hey, man, you could have did this or that." It's weird, and when people say there doesn't seem to be like a sense of urgency, you're taught not to act urgent and not to run, but to walk, because you're going to wear yourself out. Walk with a purpose, get there. But we're not no better than anyone else here in McKeesport. But if there's kids, there's a sense of urgency. I mean, motherfuckers are knocking people over and running. And in my experience, again, I'm from Pennsylvania, that it's just there's more going on. And again, we don't have the comms from the chief to the guys to see what he said, but ultimately the way this is run, it all goes back on command, because you cannot freelance in the fire service. I mean, they beat that into your heads. No, by the burning of the fire, there's really no way to tell. I mean, usually gasoline and stuff like that to give you a thick black smoke, but it's very hard to tell here because I didn't see the beginning of it. It could even not have been a liquid accelerant, if you catch my drift. It might not have been anything liquid. Hey, Troll Shovel, how are you doing? Go sub to Troll Shovel. Great channel. Moral versus legal argument for landlords safely would. Yeah, and people say if the smoke detectors, yeah, I agree, and I agree with Mike V on the investigator that turned the other investigation in and said they didn't use signs to do it. Yeah, you certainly would have absolutely had a shot if the one in the kitchen worked, the one going up the steps worked. Yes. Yeah, in the letter that was written by, I don't think it's a secret. I'm not going to say their name, but it was a fireman, local fireman, and they kind of pointed at Yoder. But the video shows that they weren't doing an interior search. They deemed that the fire was moving too fast or was too hot. We're going to knock it down, kind of a quick blitz attack, and then we're going to go ahead and get upstairs. If they had enough guys, which ideally would have happened, is you go in, you send that initial nozzle crew in with that nozzle. You have 2 truck guys, or in any situation, 2 other guys help pump the line. When they get to the steps, boom, they're up the steps. Because what's going to happen is it's going to steam, it's going to smoke up real bad. So you get up them steps as fast as you can, if you can. So for where they hit, if they were able to knock down those stairs a little bit, it makes survivability though. Even it makes it bad because of the steam. So was the bedroom door closed? Was it not? It appears that it was, but there's so many variables once you do that. But if you make that decision to rescue first, then if you make that decision to rescue, then maybe, hey, these 2 guys couldn't get up the steps. Let's throw ground ladders. Let's get in them windows. First thing you do, you could do it's called VES, vet enter search. So you get in that window. If you break that window, if the bedroom door is open, you get over there, you crawl over and you close the bedroom door. Right. So you're going to have some fresh air for some time. And then you could get in there and get people out on that porch roof. I don't know. I don't have the comms back and forth, but I think the porch roof would have been a great option. But again, I don't think they considered that an option because they said, we're going to attack this first, the fire first. Then we're going to, look after for any occupants of the home. And that is a command decision. And people are following what they're told to do. The malfeasance in this, most of it is afterwards, and the bullshit, causes and fire reports and the rumors that were started by, unfortunately, local people that people look up to, and we know who they are. And those rumors are blatantly or patently false. They couldn't be more false. Yeah, well, whatever happened to him, whatever happened to Drew, and to me, it sounded like he was being burnt. And I asked people before, I think I asked Kathy and even, people that I talked to before when I was on this case with others, that, the girls ever leave nail polish from over the top of the steps. You know how sometimes there's there's a thing up there, and they didn't think so, but it almost sounded like something like that to me. And the accelerant was so much on his police uniform. And this is something we talked about early on. We haven't talked about in a while. That the nurses like knew to take it and give it to the cops. Like, hey, this something's on this. This smells like something. And one of the explanations was that from the fire department, that it could have been on the air pack from another fire. Well, I'm going to tell you this: if you're a fire department and you're leaving that much accelerant on an air pack and you're sending firefighters inside, they're going to look like the Human Torch. No, there's spec. There could be, I'm sure there's spec traces of accelerants on a lot of air packs, and the straps are a cloth material. You could take the whole thing apart now, take the cloth apart, wash it. That was their excuse. That was horrible excuse. I mean, come on, you got to do better than that, right? That's just bad. But anyways, let's finish out this video. We have about 6 minutes left, and this is where things, really, really pick up. And then I will come back and answer everything you guys got. Just to start it out, here we are at 11. He's telling him he's ready. He got his mask on. He got the nozzle on his hand. If you look real close, you can see that hose kick up before he starts flowing water. Obviously, flowing water, they teach you to hit up high and kind of push everything back if you can. And you worried about stuff rolling over top of you. Even though you're outside, it's more of an inside thing. But again, not a lot of water. So they darken this fire down almost immediately, right? You went from that fire didn't have a lot of smoke, so it was burning really, really good at that point. It started as an oxygen-enriched fire. Even though that back door was left open. That was the rule, and it kind of surprised me. So now at this point, I don't know why we lose the sound. I don't know if it's a video thing or something that was happening outside that they wanted blocked. I can't say either way. So at this point, let me check my notes here. Yeah, at this point, you can see every time this pushes out, they're flowing water, okay? See how that's pushing out? So now they're flowing water back here. One of the things you can also do is you can flow water out of a window if you have the right kind of nozzle, but even a smooth bore nozzle in a pinch will work. And if you blow water out the window, it grabs smoke and pulls it with you. If you could put it on a fog stream or make it real wide, it really pulls the smoke out of a window really well. Okay, I don't know why the sound was out there. So at some point here, they go from, kind of knocking this fire down to getting upstairs to look for the girl. You'll be able to tell that one big reason the fire starts to get bad again. You don't hear that. Sometimes you can hear the water, sometimes you can't. It's kind of tricky. I can tell by the way the smoke's moving, but you'll see the smoke start really picking back up here, really in about the 15-minute mark, and you'll start to see fire again. So at this point, you see the fire starting back here already. At this point, they're upstairs, in my opinion, looking for the girls or trying to get upstairs or whatever they're doing. They could be opening some walls up, but more than likely, with the number of people that are in there, they're up there, and they're trying to locate them. But again, that fire is still kind of in check. So you have some kind of crazy accelerant. This fire just simply does not behave like that. It would flare back up. It wouldn't slowly trick back up. But if you had an accelerant that wasn't liquid, and I'm just theorizing here, and you caught the house itself on fire, and you had a way to catch it on fire where you knew that the heavy timber construction was going to catch and the joists and things like that. Keep checking our time. So I have it in about a minute here. You'll really see the fire really begin to pick up. The firemen, and you see that all the difference that makes. They had a crawl in there before there was fire over their heads. Now these guys are able to come into the house and they're able to stand up walking, which you want to do as long as you can, right? You only want to crawl when you have to, or if you're not sure about the floor. But now you'll see the smoke was kind of lighter. You'll start to see some more gray and black smoke started pushing out. They're not putting water on anymore. This flame in the window, I don't know if it's a couch or something or a chair burning. You're not extremely concerned with that because it's not, someone will come up and blast it with something or throw it outside. Although in a fire like this, you shouldn't throw anything outside, but that's, not the kind of way it works. This is the guy that some people say is Anthony Greeno. I don't think so. I've seen Greeno walk before. I could be wrong. But I've always seen him kind of walk around with kind of a bigger stride real fast. I'm kind of into stuff like that. I don't know why he's there. I don't know what he's doing here other than just watching. So you see that smoke now is really starting to get darker as opposed to the white. It's not coming out under pressure. There isn't turbulence and velocity like they like to say into it. But here, I see that white. They're flowing water again. So now, as we come up on the 16-minute mark, I'm not going to stop and show these to you, but you're able to actually see the extraction of 3 of the girls between I'll just say between 16 and 19 minutes. I'm not going to stop and show them to you. They're not really pertinent to the case as far as what does it look like or this or that. You have guys just getting people out of a house best they can. But those are the times in the video. So, and the other thing is there was a 4th girl. Somehow I think it got miscommunicated to the firemen that there was only 3 girls. So they get 3 girls out in a matter of a minute and a half from each other, roughly. And I don't know who the 4th girl was or what the miscommunication was, but I pointed out earlier to you in the video where Yoder, to my opinion, says 4 girls up here, four kids, whatever he said. I think he says 4 girls because he knew. Yeah, because he knew them. I think he says 4 girls. So they thought there was 3, and then they worked 3 of the girls CPR and 3 of the girls. So that would explain why the 4th girl, what CPR wasn't done. But I don't know how that happened. And this is a really shitty thing to say, but those things happen at fire sometimes, especially when mom. Now, Galen was off to the hospital at this point. She was intubated. So, people say this, oh, she could have done this, she could have done that. They put a tube down her throat. They had to intubate her because she was so burnt. Inside, outside, eyes, everything. So no one was there to reiterate that. I don't know if the neighbors were able to reiterate that, but if mom's at the hospital, you're looking for, I need a confirmation. How many people were in this house? You grab a neighbor. Hey, I live next to them. There's 4. They'll give you the ages, or they may be able to give you some intel on the house too. So I just wanted to say that here before we jump back in. But again, I'm not going to stop and show it to you, but you can see it in the video if you know what you're looking for. And so from the time the video starts, a little over 16 minutes, and then between 16 and 19 or whatever. So within 20 minutes, the girls or 3 of the girls are taken from the house and they are deceased already. They try to work them. They try to do CPR on them outside. And then, this video is about the dash cam, not much into what happens after that. So, but we'll talk more about that and how states do things different ways, certainly, but they don't do things that differently. So, but we'll get to that point, but let's finish out the dash cam here. So we have a combination of now every now and then you might even have a dedicated guy on the nozzle down there, and he was just flowing water into the kitchen area in the back mudroom. So people come in and out of the house. You see a ton of people walking on the streets. See how that smoke's kind of coming out like a little lazily. When you see like a puff of white smoke, they're flowing water. And if that smoke starts getting dark again and starts pushing out, that the fire's picking up again. There's still a working fire. It's probably in the ceiling between the living room, which is in the front of the house here. Look how I'm pointing at. In the front of the house here, and up to where the girls were at, up to where that landing is. So there's probably still a decent little fire working up in there. We've seen pictures of the inside of the house, the plaster and lath. A lot of it was burned through. It takes a lot to burn through that. There's David Erskine. I don't know how they do things in Indiana. I don't think it's that different, but in Pennsylvania, I've never seen anyone else wear anyone's gear to a fire. You might grab the helmet or something off the pump guy, but you have your gear set up specifically for you. You know where all your tools are. If you get stuck, you can reach with this hand in this pocket. It's like they teach police. You don't always have your gun on your hip. You'd be able to draw with other hand. Although I know a lot of young kids aren't doing it. The old guys would carry their holster where they could draw with either hand. But no, you're not. I've never seen anyone wear anyone else's gear. Not going to a fire. You ain't working fire. It isn't going like it was before. But again, there wasn't a lot of water to put this out. So that just makes me wonder about a liquid accelerant, because a liquid accelerant, you're going to have that flare up. You're going to have discolored flames, things like that. If it's a hydrocarbon, like a gasoline or whatever, you're going to have a lot of black smoke. But I don't know. I've never really seen anybody that said, "Hey, I think that this was it." I know that they did find a hit of an accelerant in the back, but they didn't say what it was. And usually, when they say a hit of an accelerant, you think it's a liquid, but it doesn't always have to be. It's really wild. I mean, these torches have gotten really good, unfortunately. Although in my town they're assholes, so we usually catch them. You kind of hear. You could tell when people were talking with their face piece on, as opposed to they weren't. Like when that guy said, "God damn it, Drew," the fireman of the porch. I don't think he had his face piece on. Yeah, and then there's a lot of people walking around, and this guy, I got to break this window too. Why the fuck not, right? Yeah, I don't. Some guys just, I gotta feel like I gotta do something. Maybe he was told to break. I don't know. At that point, I don't know why you break that window up. You know this is a fatal fire. You want to do as little as possible. You want to use as little water as possible to put the fire out. You want to keep everything as pristine as humanly possible. Don't break any windows. Don't do anything like that. Now, maybe maybe they don't have, like we do, multiple fatal fires in a year. Maybe that's just not something that's practice on them. There's the reward, $5,000, which I don't really have anything to say about that, because if I do, I'm just going to bitch and bitch. But that's in the archive. Did a really fantastic job on that video. So I'm going to stop screen and I'm going to get back here and answer as much as I can for everybody. And then I kind of have a synopsis at the end, kind of what I kind of laid out already. But let's see what you guys got here. All right. No, not at our station. We do yearly. Well, we actually, our chief can write off or live burn, because we have, unfortunately, my town, usually between 40 and 60 working house fires a year. That's with a population of about 25,000. So, like, if you're a career person, you could write that off. But usually there's a company, they call it a company live burn, where you guys kind of go, you put a fire out, but you try different shit, and the instructors are really cool. You know what I mean? And whether it's fair or not, they're like, "Hey, you guys are career guys. Your key sport's crazy as fuck. You're always doing shit. If you guys want to try stuff, so we get in there and guys will just try this. Hey, what if you get stuck here? Can we do this? There's a lot of things you can do and try it out. But we don't. It's not obligated upon us. Each department might be different, though. Everything on this case, yeah. Yeah, there's a moral obligation there, I guess, for sure. But even the legalese, and I'll talk about that another time. I know some people from Indiana don't think that that's that odd, but I think it's just incredibly odd. And if that's a commonplace thing in Indiana, and I haven't been able to find anything on it, but I tend to believe the people that are saying it. God, you guys got to get your politicians, and like, you can't do this. This is absolutely insane, because you're destroying a lot of evidence, and obviously the moral obligations that you have. And thank you so much, Mother. Appreciate you always. Why did the fire report list 0 injuries? They might be talking about the firemen themselves on that report. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I think that if it's the roster sheet, that's just firefighter injuries is my assumption of that. There's a ton of questions about this case. Yeah. Hold on one second. I got to I didn't plug my thingy in here. Ton of questions about this case. Oh, well, you know what? I think my kid took my charger. It's actually his charger, but I'm not going to be here that much longer anyway. I have a quarter tank left. The Gray Hughes. I don't know. It'd be great if he did. He has a really big audience. Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna get with Kathy here. And I think she'll probably have some news for you guys about how you can help out or what you like to do. What is up, Misty? Troll Shovel saying hi to everybody. I wonder if Yoder ever offered his opinion. Yeah, I'm not sure. I wouldn't go as I don't know. I don't know if it flashed. I don't think it flashed. It will flash over. Although you could be right. It felt like to me like there was something that like somehow started burning him. I can't imagine anything on his cop uniform. I mean, it could have even been like some kind of mace thing or something. I don't know. They got heated up. What you saw whenever he popped the window was the front room flashed. Basically, flashovers, everything in the room gets to its ignition point at first. People think backdraft. Backdraft is whenever the fire's oxygen starved. You look inside, it's like yellowish, and you don't no visible flame. And as soon as you open the door, it introduces it. That fire goes right after the oxygen, and you have a little explosion. Flashover is more like I guess you could consider it an explosion too, but it's not going to blow windows and stuff out. It's just going to be like, whoosh, and before you know it, everything's on fire. And if you're in that room, you too are going to be on fire. So, but that's an interesting point, CJK, and it's really hard to tell. But that's a good term, flashover. Yeah, see, in Pennsylvania, they put them in, but it's up to the residents to keep them and to check them. So we remind people all the time, Yeah, crock pots are safe though, but yeah, just be aware. And the big thing is with the crock pots, when you have problems with them, I would say eight or nine times out of 10 that it's the cord. Something's wrong with the cord, and a lot of times you can't replace the cord, so it's better just to get a new crock pot because that cord can really that can cause a lot. They attempted CPR on 3 girls. Yes. They attempted CPR. I don't know what the state of them were, but they attempted CPR on 3 of them. And that I'm not a medic, but a medical question is here when you, especially on a child. I mean, it shouldn't be any different, but it is. Let's keep it real. You're doing CPR. You basically, when you get to a hospital and someone tells you to stop, they usually don't make that decision in the field. But there was the Carroll County, I guess, like the head medic person. That's one of the things I was going to show you in the CAD layout. They were there. So whoever was number 1 medic in Carroll County, according to that, made the call on the girls. What's up, Melissa? Yeah, it's bad stuff. And you know what? I'm sure that there's guys there that says, oh, man, I wish so-and-so would have done this. Yeah, Frosty has a show tonight, too. What time is it? I hope I didn't go past it. Might even be 10 o'clock, huh? I'm not sure. But check him out. He's doing a show with Mark. Hey, True Crime Investigates. How are you? Good to see you. Riding around. Yeah. Yeah, this isn't I don't even, again, I'm not an investigator, but it doesn't even look to me like a liquid accelerant. It's very bizarre. But I can tell you that there's no Molotov cocktails thrown because one of the things that you'll see with those is as soon as they hit and break, you'll see and hear, you hear it break and you hear, and it's like when they do those and like those works bombs and they like blow out, like out and down, and you would definitely see that. And it might have taken a window out. I'm not sure. Those aren't used too often anymore, but I could tell you definitively that is, yeah. We will let you know, Greeno. Thank you for participating. Kathy, Jay, there's a couple of people putting it all together. I just told them the days that I couldn't do it. Yeah, I don't think that was Greeno there. I don't think that was you in the video. I said that the other day. Yeah. Oh, well, hey. I'm like, I don't think so. Doesn't look like it to me. Yeah. Well, I agree with you on that one. Here you go. Yeah, and I'm available if anybody wants to have me come up and yap, except for Thursday. Thursday is the day that I work next week. And that's next week. Yeah, I think that's the only day I'm bad. So anyone else wants to talk? I'm going to do more. I wanted to get this dash cam thing, and so I hope everyone got something out of this tonight, understanding a little bit. Yeah, it could be one or two gulps, Brandon. And a lot of people forget the heat too. The heat involved with that, and what's burning now didn't burn years ago. These couches are putting off fucking hydrogen cyanide and all kind of crazy stuff. What is up, Aspen? How are you doing, brother? In there somewhere, seeing you. Someone saying hi to you. I think the arsonists stay behind. Oh, I think they took off. I think they were very afraid, but I think that they went past at some point during the fire or the initial investigation. So there were still people there. Yes, I definitely think he went past. My opinion. One of the defense team supporters on another case. Yeah, I'd love to get as many people into this as possible, as long as they're not, insane or whatever. Thank you, Aspen. That was my thing. Again, there's probably, there's a lot more firemen that probably do better than this on me, but there's certain, I could tell you this was here. Yeah, there was acetone was mentioned, but I can't definitively do. That's where I was thinking nail polish remover or something like that on the steps. And I can't for the life of me think like police would carry anything like that, if they have something on his uniform, because I thought about that too, something on his uniform bursted or something, because, cops aren't supposed to be in hot environments like that. I mean, they're getting shot at. They're cool. They don't need to go in a house fire. Just don't park in front of the house, cops, please. I agree with you, Junior. I agree with you there. And I know a lot of people, they don't want to hear the racist stuff. And I don't know if that was causing a fire or not. I really don't. I don't think it was, but I don't think it was the main reason. That's going to sound absolutely insane. Hopefully one day I can explain that to you. Not like I'm fucking Doug Carter or anything, but this is being worked. This is being worked. And they're not taking it lightly. And that doesn't seem like nothing's going on because they're not out telling what's going on, but they're not going to do that. So I appreciate everybody coming in. What's up, Frank Meister? NBA finals start tomorrow. Ruckus's team's alive. Everyone else's is out. And the other day, hey, Miss Bojangles, I posted a quick little video about if you ever been to the Mona on High Bridge, if you've ever been to Flora, what's your feelings? I actually going to try to use a little bit of that on my show for Flora Week next week. I think it's very interesting. I just want to compare my feelings to other people, and I have like a hypothesis, and I just want to see if it's right. And okay, could use your name or not use it. It doesn't matter, but just say that just the people said this. Yeah, I would love to see something there, a little memorial, but something for the kids to play at water park or something like that, because those girls were so active. They really were. Frosty, what time is your show tonight? Is it at 10? Because I went over 10 minutes if it is, or 10:30. No. Someone asked me to remove their wrench, and I can't remember who it was. I don't know if I could do it here or if I have to do it on YouTube. Oh, I'll figure it out. Or I don't know. Jinx, can you do it? Make sure he's texting me. Yeah, Frosty. Him and Mark were going to do some Delphi talk tonight, I think. What is up? There's Grizz. Well, that's one of the things in this that Mike wrote out. Veron, keep saying his name wrong. Yeah. Oh, yeah, Thursday. God, today's Tuesday. Right in my hand to take the garbage out. Okay, so marijuana does have one side effect. Frosty's link, Jinx, before we get out of here. I think they have a show tonight? But anyways, let me just say this before we get out of here. Everything falls on command of the fire. That's just how it is, guys. It's pounded in your head not to freelance. So I think it's possible that they told Yoder not to go in, and he did what he had to do, he thought. And Yoder gets there at that point. I think the girls have a chance. I don't know. I can't say for sure. I can't. So it's probably not fair to guess. That's a big thing. Again, I didn't see the guy doing a 360. And, yeah, that's about it. So I hope this helped you a little bit, informed you a little bit about firefighting. My computer's about to be on 9%, so it's a perfect time. Honey Bee, thank you, Honey Bee. You're fantastic. Too nice. Yeah, you guys. I know that there's other creators in here and they have great chats, but I think mine's the best. Maybe I'm partial to it. No offense to anyone else, because you guys have great ones too. But I'm gonna get out of here before my computer dies. I hope that helped you out. Any questions after the video, I'll answer as best I can. So let me know. We're gonna say tentacles, and I'm pretty sure Frosty and Mark have a show tonight. Or follow your other favorite creator. The cat's kind of out of the bag a little bit on Flora week, but I'm gonna have Kathy do something. I'd like to have her do some kind of announcement, but it's coming up. So more information will be coming out. Ask your creators to cover it. Ask Gray. I'll ask Gray Hughes. It'd be great to hear you do a Flora show. If you'd ever want me on or anyone else, you probably don't need me on, but if you want to do one, that would be great to inform your viewers. Anybody, you know what I mean? Anyone that isn't batshit crazy, please cover Flora. If you are batshit crazy, please don't cover Flora. It's not my case, then. It's a free country and a free platform, so people do what they want. All right, we're going to say tentacles. I'm going to get out of here. I thank you all. Tremendous chat tonight. Cook your pizzas right side up, and we'll say tentacles and have a drink, and we'll say Coach Kev out.